Hi and welcome to Liminal Sovereignty. I'm Jamie and today we are going to be going over this deck called Visions in the Liminal Space. I really like the imagery in this. It's not a tarot deck, it's more of an oracle deck, and we'll be going in and diving in. It was created by Bakara Wintner and Kylie Christensen. This is a very thought-provoking deck, and it was a pleasure to go through. The box, it's just one of those top lids. It comes with a guidebook, and then here are like 77 cards, I believe. The box is a very cool eye with the center being like a type of portal. On the side it says, "Until the day breaks and the shadows flee away." All right, I'm looking forward to it. I'll see you soon. All right, so we are starting off with this deck called Visions in the Liminal Space. It's a really fun and thought-provoking deck. First card is Tre La La, and we have this kind of like old school style type of emoji, kind of like shrugging themselves like, oh, Tre La La, you gotta have to move on. And then we have a hand coming out of what looks like a portal with a tray that says 1111. And I think this signifies the ease in which we are able to make a wish at least twice a day. And I guess this portal is open to us if we so choose to take advantage of it. Acceptance is the answer. And we have a chair with a cup and a window. Yeah. I think this deck was made during the pandemic or was a product of the pandemic. And I think that sometimes we were forced, and by sometimes I mean we were all forced to be indoors, and accepting that as part of that time was what we all had to do. Aggressively hydrate. I think one of the things that I like about this deck is that she, in her own way, illustrates a lot of the elements. Like here we see wood, and the acceptance is the answer. And then aggressively hydrate. One, we should all drink water every day, and it is definitely something that I forget to do. So, you know, here's a card to remind you. An answer, but not the solution. Yeah, we find that life, you know, provides us with many answers, but the solution is something, or the outcome is something that we have to work through, and we can make it easy for ourselves in that when we see a block along the way, we can decide to find an alternative route to the end result that we seek, or we can be stuck, and that therein lies the dilemma. The Backrooms, and here we kind of see that portal thing again, and binary numbers. I believe that in the guidebook it said this is a place where there's no entrance or exit, and sometimes it's kind of like a limbo area. And yeah, sometimes we find ourselves in a hallway with many doors, and it's kind of hard to choose which door, you know, is going to lead us in a direction that we want to go. And then, you know, figuring out very quickly whether or not that's a place we want to stay. Be groovy or leave, man. Here we have like a very comfortable scene. Lava lamp, God is love poster, smiley face, rainbows. This kind of has like a very 70s feel, and obviously groovy is a term used in the time. Yeah, if you find that someone is in your space that is bringing you down, kindly request for them to go. And here we have what looks like a phone screen, and it says, believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see. So this is a very poignant card because it shows a screen, like an editing screen, and there's layers, and it's so hard, you know, to see an image and see it for 100% of what it is worth. Speaking like the box is an eye, right? And so it's what we see. And it says, believe nothing that you hear and only half of what you see. This card says, beware nostalgia. So everyone has the tendency to go down memory lane. And what we find there is usually extremely picturesque. And everything seems to be tinted with rose-colored glasses. And I think this card reminds us not to stay there for too long because it could distort our perspective and our view of reality. Because in the end, what you remember isn't necessarily exactly what it was. It's a version that you've created of what it was. Blood sacrifice. And we have what looks like a hog having its innards open. Body scan. When we do this body scan, it looks like there's pieces of you or pieces of myself in which are me, but are just parts of me, not the whole of me or you. Bring your own seat to the table. This card is, and it's got a lot of air clouds, which makes me think this is like a table where thoughts are being explored or ideas are being, ideas are being shared. And if you want to be a part of the conversation, bring your own seat. I don't think, people intentionally exclude others. And it's really hard because we're all different. And some people really only share their 2 senses if they're invited to. And others probably overshare more than they should. But if you find a part or a point or topic in which you find important to you, don't wait to be invited. Bring your own seat to the table. Broke is the beginning. And here we have a pig, one of those piggy banks that you have to crack open in order to get the coins out. And it says, broke is the beginning. It's the second time we see a pig. Void burger, burn the idols. When I see this card, I kind of it reminds me of our fast food places of our pastimes, and now they're just like, it seems like it's everyone's go-to. Like, does anybody know how to cook anymore? I mean, obviously people do know how to cook, and obviously, it's hard. Can anyone afford not to cook is more the question. But this kind of reminds me that fast food places are kind of just trash. They're just overly priced things that you could probably make at home for less. Butterfly dreams. Whenever we see butterflies, we always usually think of like metamorphosis and like change. And this one makes us think, did the caterpillar dream while it was in its catalyst? And if it did it ever imagine that it would be something as beautiful as a butterfly? Carefree Timelessness. Wow. And it looks like inside this hourglass, the sands are little infinity signs. Carefree Timelessness. I guess we all wish we had that, an infinite amount of time, which is, of course, something all of us have, which is equal to all of us. And it's not promised to anyone. Sorry about the outdoor noises. Carry your weather. And here we have like a shadowed shaped figure carrying a balloon with a rainbow, a cloud with rain, and a sunshine. I guess what this card invokes in me is a reminder that you choose your temperament. And although sometimes situations may not be ideal, how you handle it is a choice. Cord cutting. So my understanding is that if you like this image, if there's two candles and you want to release yourself from a bond that you have from a past person that is no longer serving you in your life or has become toxic, or let's say it's an ex that you constantly are thinking of, but you know that relationship isn't going anywhere, or the relationship has ended a long time ago. A cord cutting, which is this ritual where you tie a string around a candle and you let the candle burn. In essence, the symbolism is that as the candle burns, so does your tie to the person. So each one of you is a candle, and this rope is the tether between the two of you. And as the candle burns and the rope does, so will their hold on you, and you will be released. Cosmic fuckery. It is interesting because a lot of tarot card reading is a spiritual practice, but it is also, one in which you embrace the fact that you don't know anything, but also you always have hope that things will align, shall we say. But in the end, who knows? And I think that perhaps sounds bleak, but I think it comes back to acceptance that we just don't know. And either you go around the sun or, you don't accept it and it becomes harder. But what the plan is, nobody really knows. Dimensional shit. And then there's a car that looks like it was in an accident. There's a rainbow, which is hopeful, and it's raining, and it looks like it has caught on fire, but now there's just smoke. The license plate says 05/22/18. That is a date. Yeah, nobody really wants to get into accidents, but they do happen. However, what's the next step? What do you do next? The Divine Mother. The Divine Mother, I believe, is the maternal idea we have of Earth, I should say. Like, she gives birth to us and to her we return, I believe. Down in the river. And in this card, we see water creeping up to what is a house and a tree with a swing in it. Perhaps this is water that cannot be avoided. Energy flows intention. Energy follows intention. Yeah, I think this is a card that reminds us of how manifestation is created. What you pour your energy to will hopefully manifest your wish. Energy follows. Energy follows intention. Enough is a feast. We see like a table that has been set. I think it reminds us that to have is a blessing within itself, because there is a lot of people who go without. So enough is a feast. Esse Quam Videri. I think I left the book out because we have some cards that require some further explanation. And this one says, to be rather than to seem. To be rather than to seem. The Northern Carolina state motto. To be rather than to seem. Here we have what looks like another portal. And this person looks like the Fool in the regular Rider-Waite with his belongings on a wand and this dog. Eureka, which is the state motto of New York State. Ever upward. Oh no, I lied. Eureka is, I have found it. Eureka. It's the California state motto. And this one, you see a portal right here with a person who looks like they're holding a wand. It also has a Ouija board, and in the background that looks like an alien, and someone's being abducted. This one, Excelsior, is the New York State motto. And it says ever upward. And here we have what looks like the moon and a moth. If you look at the New York State Capitol, it's very similar. Eye for an eye. Now this is interesting because everyone has two eyes, and this bucket looks like it's full of eyes. So someone's been taking more eyes than they have. Or perhaps it's a reflection on the cruelty of the idea of an eye for an eye. Fortune favors the bold. Taking risks, taking chances, hopefully has a better outcome than staying and not taking chances. The Fuckening. This is just when everything goes wrong and it's in a trash pile on fire, which, you know, sometimes life can feel that way, although hopefully not often. Hand in hand. The Hell Train. Here we see a train with the number 666, which is usually a negative, in the Christian faith, a negative number. And it looks like it's heading towards an unpleasant place. Hiding in plain sight. The High Road. This one, it took me a couple times to see that. Here we see a road of what seems like a metropolitan area, and then there's a bridge. And over the bridge, we see nature, like a moose and bunnies and other types of outdoor animals. and a lake. I think this card reminds us to try to find a way in order to keep things balanced, if at all possible. The hot tub's too hot. I see that you are here, and I am glad. This is interesting. There's 4 ghosts covered in sheets, and it looks like this ghost in the forefront is handing a sheet over to the person reading the card. I see that you are here, and I'm glad. Infinity Mirror. Perhaps this card reminds us that our reflection is just a reflection of each other, that we are one and all are separate at the same time. It takes a curse to break a curse. That seems counterintuitive. Kill your darlings. And in this card, we see what looks like a dark moon. NASA has deployed a rocket that is now crashing back into the earth. A pond says spirit split. 2 ghosts. An alien ship that has crashed into the side of the mountain. Kneel before no one. We have a floating crown. I think this card reminds you to stand your ground. If you feel like you have a conviction, then as the leader of yourself, you do not need to explain yourself. Knock, knock, tick, tock. And this looks like a phone screen with the number 333. It looks like a notification bell with an infinity sign on it, which, yes, that's what it feels like. An alarm with the number 666 tag on it. More like speakers, the number 555. A clock, infinity, thunder, 333, caution, 1221. And then here we have an hourglass with the numbers 2222. There's a lot of 3s in this card deck. In that card, I mean. Here we have a hand, and behind the hand, it looks like a portal. So in some of these cards, we see a hand coming out of the portal, and here we see the portal in the background. The hand over, it looks like the right hand over the left hand, has a pentacle, sword, wand, and cup, and on the left hand it says, know thyself. Which is interesting that they chose hands, because there's that saying, like, I know blank like the back of my hand. Let it break. It looks like a wishbone. You usually want to break the wishbone in order to make a wish. Let your edges be liquid. Here's another water reminder sign, but also reminding us, instead of having sharp edges, or perhaps instead of snapping back or having sharp words or emotions with water, it's reminding us to be more fluid, to be more accommodating perhaps, or to not be so harsh with ourselves and with others. Life is beautiful. Life is meaningful. And here we have a lot of feathers, and then a card or an envelope with a heart on it. Life is beautiful. Life is meaningful. Perhaps, you know, air reminds me of thoughts and words. And then here we have an envelope that could have the thoughts and words from the heart. And so, expression, perhaps. Love garden. And here we have another rainbow with a garden that it looks like it needs to be harvested. There's plentiful, there's a fire here, and it looks like it's a rainbow with also stars in the background. Love garden. And then these leaves are all shaped like a heart. Love, hate, and light shadow. These are dualities that exist within our world. Love, hate, love and hate, light and shadow. Without one, you wouldn't understand or know the other. Maybe next time. It looks like a magic 8-ball with an infinity sign. And someone shook it. Maybe next time. I think that's a great card because it's also a card of hope. I think that when we hear no, it's definitive. When we hear yes, it's definitive. But when you hear maybe next time, forever, then it could be yes and it could be no. Miracle Mile. Here we have people who are driving towards the city and they're in the ocean or by the ocean, not inside the ocean. God is the answer. And here we have a rose with a portal on above it. This looks like it might be some Hebrew text and I'm not sure what it means. Let me see what the guidebook says. It says, a mother's prayer for her daughter, and upon giving birth to one, gives her 2 names. So this might be the author, because it says, Bakara, firstborn daughter, and one of the creators is Bakara. And then it says, Elena, my God has answered. It's a personal tribute, perhaps. The next right thing. The next right thing. And here we have what looks like a compass with a lot of infinity signs in between the north and the northeast and south. Southeast, southwest. No kings but us. It looks like a person alone, surrounded by stars. And I think that the stars make this person not feel alone. No kings but us. No vacancy. This is a house. I don't want to say it looks abandoned. It's just kind of more of like a darker, imagery, but perhaps it's just saying, find a place to go, be yourself, but not invite others in. Parasitism. So, parasitism. This person, or this shape of a person, has low energy because this person is taking the energy. So they're being a parasite. And I think this card reminds us to connect with people that aren't going to be parasites to our energy, but instead be more of a symbiotic relationship where you give and receive. The passing of time. And here we have something, well, it looks like a lemniscate or an infinity sign. And it also looks like the gene structure. And it says the passing of time. This is, everyone is floating on a river. Time is passing. Playing God. And here we have a marionette that looks or is dressed as though they are a fool or a jester or joker. Playing God. Protection. So in a lot of Middle Eastern cultures, the eye is a symbol of protection. It's more than it's in a lot of cultures. The eye is a symbol of protection. It says, "No weapon from me against me shall prosper." Okay. Quiet desperation. Here's another infinity sign around the. This is an old school phone. And, you know, we can still be waiting around for a phone call, holding on to our modern day phones. But quiet desperation perhaps is someone who feels lonely and is hoping that somebody reaches out. Reason to live juice. Reason live juice. 555 milligrams. Take as needed. Yeah. That's kind of a, I want to say a hard pill to swallow, but yeah, we all need a purpose. And this would be great if we could just find it in the fridge whenever we needed it. But it's also a reminder to live your purpose daily. Rewritten history. And here we have books that are burned. Yeah. The people, I am amazed at how historically history has been written by people who are not a part of the culture and make things up based on what they understand, based on their culture that has nothing to do with the culture that they are or were exploiting. And so, yeah, one of the things people did, like when the conquistadors landed in the New World, they burned all of the Mayan and Native American form of written history. And that's so sad. Rewritten history. Or, you know, this could be based on a relationship. It's like you have one side of the story, someone else has a side of the story. Who's right, who's wrong, I think is irrelevant. But we sometimes feel like the other person didn't experience the same thing we did. Reason of the witch. Season of the witch. And here we have what looks like a bonfire. People who were perhaps dancing behind it, floating up into the cosmos. Season of the witch. Show me your original face. The face you had before your parents were born. Sky Daddy. And in this image, we see clouds or these clouds kind of look like the portals that are in the deck. And then the sunbeams coming out. Sparkle, sparkle, bitch. Whew. Spell it out. And I could not spell many words with this other than B-I-G, which is big. Dig. Spell it out. I think sometimes people like to make life as like we like to say everything's a building block. You place each step on top of the other, and then when you remove yourself from the forefront of things and you take a step back, what does it spell out? And you can say, oh, you know, my life is great. That's what it spells out for me. Or you're like, I can't read what I've created. And that's, you know, that's reflection. Storm and fury. Kind of gives me that Alice in Wonderland vibe. Strangely perfect timing. Strangely perfect timing, like most things. And we have a clock, an old school clock with like the bells that ring when the alarm was set to go off. Perfect timing. Tag, you're it. I think in the guidebook it says this is your 15 minutes of fame. Go ahead and use it, reap it, but remember that this time is fleeting and you will not have it. The person behind you is next. There and back again. And here we see a road, and assuming that where the dust clouds are, that's where you were. They know not what they do. Do not pull. Caution, caution, caution. I think this is one of those cards that reminds us that you have to be vigilant, and that although there's a sign right here telling this person not to pull, they look like they're about to pull it. Now, that would be that person's fault for not paying attention. So this card would tell me to pay attention. Trust the process. And here we have a box with, it looks like a castle, and this person is trying to put it together, and it says the process in the instructions. So yeah, I think a lot of us, and I went to Home Depot this weekend because my daughter was, it was one of those weekends where they had like one of those workshops for children. And so I usually go with my daughter. And when we were there, we bumped into some friends, and my husband and I and my daughter, we are very much like step 1, step 2, step 3. Like, we read the directions as we're making it. They were like, this is like IKEA, like an IKEA instructions. You just follow the pictures. And obviously they do create instructions so that kids can do it very easily, but trust the process. Read. Until all are free, none are free. And here we have a bird flying out of its cage. Until the day breaks and the shadows flee away. And we have a tombstone that reads, until the day breaks. And then we have the sun and a bunch of birds flying. Water has memory. So this is like the third card that is specifically referenced to water. And on a cellular level, well, snowflakes we know are water, and each snowflake, there's no two snowflakes that are alike, which is like mind-boggling to comprehend that. But water has a memory. Remember who you are. You are special. You are unique. There's no one like you. X marks the spot. Welcome to X. Sweet X. You are where you're supposed to be. That is what I get. The cloud even has an X. You came here to help turn off the lights. And here we have what looks like a bunch of aliens in a movie theater. Are we entertaining them? So much so that they haven't turned off the lights? I don't know. And then the last card here, it says, you may never know. And then it looks like some form of cabinet or cage that's been wrapped around multiple times with multiple chains. And it reminds us that you may never know. And I think that's that's life. There's so many questions that if you are, you know, just half awake, you will have many questions. But this reminds us that we may not ever know the answers, and that's acceptance as well. Well, I hope you liked that flip through of the card deck visions in the liminal space.